Oh, hi. Welcome to the workshop. This is going to be a quick hand tutorial. It seems like a lot of you guys have trouble drawing hands. This will just go over like the basics of how I draw hands. Here's a hand. We'll look at what it takes to draw like a basic hand. So, can you draw cylinders? Can you draw cylinders in perspective? Can you draw a box? And then can you draw a box in perspective? Okay, then you can draw a hand. You can do this. So we call this elementary shapes. They're fundamental shapes that you can kind of use them to make up other more complex different shapes. And there's also cone and sphere. You don't really need cone, in my opinion, because it's just cone is just a cylinder that's smaller on one side, right? So let's see how this helps us draw hands. I'm just gonna do boxes for the palm, actually two boxes for the palm, and then the fingers are just gonna be cylinders. So we're gonna put the palm into perspective as a box. Fingers as cylinders. And we can draw the wrist as a cylinder as well. Now I'm gonna erase all the lines that's getting blocked. So this box actually doesn't match exactly to the shape of the palm because then you have the fleshy part that gets a bit rounded. So we'll draw those in. And there you go, a hand. So you might be wondering if this will help you draw random hands that you want to draw in different poses. And yes, actually, being able to draw cylinders and boxes in perspective lets you pose the hand kind of imaginatively. And you can use this method pretty loosely. So because we can draw shapes in perspective, so we can determine the intersections and of objects and determine whether a certain pose could be possible. This doesn't apply to just hands; it applies to like human posing or posing anything at all. So let's try it. I'm just gonna put a box in a random orientation, and then the thumb. I'm gonna do this pretty roughly because if I need the perspective to be accurate because of checking intersections or it's a weird angle or really strong foreshortening, I can. But for the silhouette, I don't really need to. And I kind of want the hand to look like that, just facing us. The first cylinder, the first joint of the index finger is pointing towards us and then it points down. You still need to know basic things like proportions of the hand. That's something you just have to know or reference. Now I can get looser with it. The box is just a guide. You once you're used to it, you can kind of have that in your head and you can just take it out and take it out and skip it. I'm thinking of the box, but I'm already drawing like the flesh part of the hand, but I'm thinking of placing that palm into perspective using the box as a guide in my head. Same thing with the fingers being in cylinder form. Right now I can draw hands really loosely in different poses. Like actually I like it when it's looser and you just roughly base the perspective on the boxes. And now you can draw hands from imagination and pose them from imagination. And we can just do this all day. As long as I can see a shape that fits, I can draw into a hand. So even though it's super rough, right? Here I'm still thinking about perspectives on each of the joints. this is really rough, but you can kind of see the overall shape, the silhouette of the hand. And I'm still thinking about putting forms in perspective here. So we have the box, this box, and this one is very rough box because it doesn't fit the box shape too well when the flesh starts moving. And then we have the first joint, kind of very foreshortened. The second joint, the third joint here. Yeah, and you can just knock hands out all day. Granted, you still need to memorize some of the anatomical features, like this bump here, it's like a bone, and then the curvature of the hand, the fact that your palm's kind of flexible, how much can this rotate or pivot, and then the length of individual fingers. A good way to think of finger length is the first joint is, I think, 3, and then 2, and then 1 in terms of length. So you can divide that into 3. And then there's nails. So the joints would be here, here, and here. And that applies for the indexes and not really the thumb, I think. So yeah, that's it. See you guys next time.